Okay, my name is George. I have an off-grid smallholding in Tuscany. Yeah, I've been living here for almost 20 years. We've been renovating this old Tuscan farmhouse, and we have a few animals. We have goats, we have a cow, and two kids.
My name's Sophie. I'm also from the UK. I've lived here since 2015, I think. I arrived here and I finished my studies. So, like lots of other people, I didn't have anywhere to live for a couple of months. And it was my intention that I would go traveling and then go back and get a job and just continue with life. And I was looking around, looking for some interesting projects, and I found George's project, and that's why I'm here. But why I stayed, when I arrived here, it was as if kind of everything just suddenly kind of made sense. Like, okay, yeah, I feel so much more myself here. It's weird to realize that you're not yourself before.
You could say I was a typical British kid growing up. And at that time, I was regularly coming here to spend time with my dad. When I was a teenager, I wasn't so satisfied with the academic world. I had no plans to go to university or anything like that. I just wanted to get out of school as soon as I could. So as soon as I finished the GCSEs, I started working in restaurants, and so just had it in my mind to come here as soon as possible. So when I was 18, I eventually passed my driver's test, 5th time. Took a while. Eventually got a bit of money together, and I just came out with this drive to just be here, working on the house and living this kind of self-sufficient life. For me, this place signified a kind of independence. You know, growing up in the UK, you're in school, everything's very structured. You have this weekend of kind of freedom to do stuff, but it's not really real. Coming here just meant, yeah, the being in direct contact with everything, like with chopping the wood, for heating the house. I remember early memory of having these axes and chopping wood, just being in contact with everything, you know, where all the resources come from and where the electricity is coming from and where the food is coming from. And at that time, it was a sense of freedom feeling, I think. Yeah, so I wanted to live here because I was just so attracted by what this place offered, the basic kind of fundamental, primitive ways of living almost. And I just enjoyed that kind of, that freedom.
It just really took everything down to just the basic, just doing stuff, just so that you can continue being alive. And I don't know, it's so interesting. And the quiet also, the calming of the mind was really transformative. I would go for this walk and just walk randomly in the forest, not see anyone and not hear anything, just the sound of the wind or a bird or a tree or a stick or something. I don't know, I just felt like a completely different person doing something that I already did, but in a different place.
Back in the UK, I felt there wasn't much room for anything else other than just working and, focusing on your career. And I didn't feel like, my future wasn't in that world because I had my only kind of passion at that time was to escape it all, basically.
Before I lived here, I never really questioned what I was really doing. Like, I never had a future vision for how my life was going to end up. I never planned a career or even where I would see myself living. I mean, originally I'm from the countryside, so I made the decision that I wanted to go to London because I wanted to have a different experience. I mean, it was great. I loved it. It was fun. It was exciting. But there's just so much pressure. And I think maybe sometimes you don't realize that you're under pressure. And I think you get so caught up in just kind of like the hectic buzz of just carrying on all the time.
So when I arrived, it was basically like a bit like a kind of a squat, like literally like mattresses on the floor, just a mess, roof collapsing, with broken windows. It wasn't winterproof at all. That's what I liked about it. That was what was attractive about it, was being involved in everything you did to make it better. The improving of the house, improving of comfort, essentially, on a very basic level, and just the rewarding feeling that it gave me to do that. I'm going to make a shower, and then I'm going to have a shower, and that's so rewarding. I'm going to plant some potatoes, and I'm going to then eat those potatoes. I'm going to chop that wood to heat the fire so I can have some hot water so I can have another shower. That's being involved in the process of everything. That in a normal situation, you just flick a switch. Being here, there was no switches to flick. And coming from the UK as a teenager, you're not aware of where everything comes from, how everything works. So to be thrown into this wild, basic, primitive life here, and then be in contact with where stuff comes from and how things work, was very educational and was very healing as well. I think often I fail to mention that this place was very healing and still is for many people, not just for me. The reason why I came here in the first place and stayed is because I did feel like I'd found myself and found my purpose ultimately. And then when other people started coming here, guests, and seeing their process as well, and being like, wow, they've transformed as well, and they've gone through some experience, and they've felt the magic of this place heal them, that just encouraged me more and more, not only to stay myself, but also encouraged me to invite more people here to share that with them.
I kind of revel in now is just doing things. I just like doing things on my own. Go in the garden and you plant some seeds and you wait 6 months, you wait 9 months, sometimes you wait a year, and then you get to eat that, and then you start it again. And that's really probably the best thing. It's the satisfaction of just doing on your own and supplying for yourself. It's nice.
So we were featured on New Lives in the Wild, Ben Fogle. It's a UK TV show. And I think a common misconception from people that have watched that show was how we earn our money and how we've come to be in this situation now. Because from the outside, I think it seems that we inherited this place. But actually, how we came to be here was my dad in 2001. He sold his house in the UK, bought a Land Rover, bought a caravan, drove over, and was looking for a rural Tuscan farmhouse to move into, to buy. But in the meantime, he met some owners of this house here, Casalina, and they offered him the house rent-free. It's a common thing in Italy. The owner owns so many houses that he can't maintain them all. So instead, he gave my dad a contract that basically says you can live in the house, any renovation work is up to you, and you don't have to pay any rent at all. So the responsibility for the person who has this contract is also to just keep everything running, keep everything up, stopping it from falling down. And my dad started that contract in 2001, and then in 2003 he left, and the house was empty for 2 years while I was at school. So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity. So when I arrived, I took over the contract, I met the owners, we made a new contract eventually. And I think from the outside, a misconception is that we inherited a house, or we had loads of money to begin with, or we left a life, but we sold our house in the UK, came here. That didn't happen because we were so young. But we were very lucky to have just seized the opportunity and to have taken on that house for free. Our only income is through Airbnb, having guests, but it's really just enough to kind of keep us going, paying for our basic needs in life. But the bigger this place gets, it's a money pit. So whenever we have a bit of extra money through Airbnb, we can do a project, we can maintain a vehicle. But for years, we never had enough money to really do anything about the road. You know, the Airbnb didn't give us enough to have excess to think about spending thousands of euros on a road because of what I just mentioned, the house, everything becoming bigger, and just, the cost of living, everything costing a lot more. Of course, we try to keep the expenses low by having a vegetable garden, and we supplement it with that. We have a bit of milk from the goat, which is great. All our heating has come from wood, which is free essentially. We just have to go and get it and work hard to go and get it. So the road gets used every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, taking the kids down in the morning for school and picking them up after school. Yeah, it's very important to us that it's maintained and remains accessible, because at the moment you still need a 4x4 to reach the house.
I think now that we have children, and I'm really thrilled to be able to bring them up in this environment. I think it's a real blessing. But also, just because we live here doesn't mean that they should have to not be able to do things that are not here. So, for example, this evening, I'm taking my daughter to a gymnastics class, and it's going to take me an hour to get there and then an hour back. Not only do you have to drive half an hour, 45 minutes to town, but the last 10 minutes are just brutal.
So yeah, 5 years ago, when we realized that the road was so important to us, we really thought, oh, how are we going to have the money to do this road, because it's going to be so expensive. Thanks to GoFundMe crowdfunding project we started 5 years ago, we've managed to improve it a lot, but there's still a lot of work to do. So basically the main costs are gravel, the actual material, and diesel and machinery, feeding all the volunteers. And it's gone really well so far. We've managed to make enough to make big progress, but there's still half a kilometre left, which has had no gravel at all. It's basically a huge off-road driveway. The weather can make it quite difficult to be up here, especially with the road. Like 3 days ago, it snowed a lot. We couldn't get down. Even though that situation, you could say, was really bad and really awkward, it's just a part of the whole process of being here. And when the sun comes out again and the road's clear again, it makes that feel better,
The hardest part? No, I mean, I wouldn't even say that the road is the hardest part, because I like that we're at this road.
I mean, the best thing about being here actually is, we've created a life here, and it's not Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I think sometimes we forget that for a lot of people, that is their reality. For us, yeah, we're working a lot and there's always something to do and we're busy. But it's kind of almost self-inflicted in a way.
One thing that I always like to say is that it's just to recognize that we are very privileged to live like this, and also to understand that not everybody can live like this, or just physically. There's not space for everybody to have a farmhouse with land around it. But I think that we can all just make our best decisions in life. It doesn't have to take all the time like a big life change, but just like changing small things can be enough. Just to, like taking on an allotment or something is just a small thing that can give you the same kind of satisfaction of just providing for yourself.
What to say to people who want to change their life? You just have to get out there and do it, like you guys are doing. Make experiences. Don't think too much, because it is a big journey, and you're not going to just switch your life quickly to another life. It takes years of slowly developing things, and I think you have to just get out there and experience things.
Get out and just get some experiences and meet some different people and do something different before you decide that that's really what you want to do. And it takes away that stress of what you should be doing versus what you want to be doing. Just make some experiences and see what happens.
Which obviously is difficult if you're working, you've got a career. It's difficult to do that, but if you're able to take time off and jump into the deep end, then go for it.